Drew, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. So we're here to talk about Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter and what that will mean going forward for the users of the platform. So the first question I'll ask you is, why is this acquisition so big for the world of social media?
It's huge. I mean, social media, first and foremost, is it's a brilliant force in the world around us. It brings us together. It allows us to keep in touch with people when we can't get out of the house. We're watching more content than ever before on social media apps, but they're also becoming more dangerous. And I think this is one thing that's caught people's eyes recently, is that Elon Musk wants more polarized views. He wants more open debate, more free speech. And often that comes with dangers on social media. I think that's one of the reasons why the layperson, the user of a social networking app, is going to be really paying attention to Elon Musk taking over as the CEO of Twitter.
So you've mentioned there very briefly sort of some of the changes that Elon Musk wants to implement, but what are the other changes sort of straight off the bat that users can expect to see as a result of this takeover?
Well, Elon Musk took over the top job just this week, walked into Twitter HQ only yesterday, and he's already fired the top 3 people at Twitter. The head of Twitter, the CEO, he's out the door. The chief finance officer, person in charge of making money and saving money, out the door. And then the person in charge of safety, so their chief legal counsel, there's a huge safety team there. So these 3 people aren't solely responsible for Twitter being a safe place or a place that makes money, but it's a clear indication of the changes he's looking to make for the users. So more free speech is coming, probably new functions are coming, but there's rumors of Twitter totally changing based on what Musk has said he'd like from an app for everything, in his own words.
So for the average user of Twitter then, what do these changes mean in sort of layman's terms? If you were to put out on a plate exactly what this meant for, you or I or someone's auntie or uncle using Twitter, what would you tell them?
Well, if you open up Twitter and you scroll through, you'll be following friends, family, maybe some famous people. Some famous people get banned from Twitter, and Musk has already said he'd be open to bringing them back. Donald Trump is one, Kanye West is another, Andrew Tate is another. So I think what you'll quickly see is people that might otherwise be banned because they're offensive being brought back. So the vibe of Twitter is going to quite quickly change. It's going to be more debate, more discussion. Whereas at the moment, it's a bit like the other social media apps. You keep in touch with people, you see clips. So I think it's going to be a little bit more fractious in this app. And that's what the typical, the layperson, the average user is going to see quite quickly.
Again, you mentioned them names sort of straight off the bat, your Kanye Wests, your Donald Trumps. With Elon Musk's, almost big goal being free speech on this platform, do you think this will have an effect on potentially hate speech, things like, in Kanye West's case, anti-Semitism, potential racism, homophobia, things like that?
I think this is going to be huge. And I think the social media environment needs to be made safer. And free speech and hate speech are already far too close for my liking. On one hand, people might say that one shouldn't be censored when they're on social media, that they should be able to say whatever they want. But especially when someone has a high profile voice, when they're followed by a lot of people, what they say brings about real world changes and can bring about real world harm. So whether it's sexism and misogyny, inciting a riot, or somewhere in between, it's not an easy solution here. There's no magic switch that we can just flip and everyone's safer online. But I think what Musk would like is more of this debate, more of this free speech. But I just think we need to be watching quite closely and making sure that people are safe online as well.
In terms of this free speech, then, in terms of Elon Musk firing some of the top executives, do you think that this will have an effect on the way that Twitter makes money? Obviously, Musk has said himself that he's not interested in making money, but with Twitter ultimately being a business, how do you think this whole free speech will have an effect on that?
So I think there's probably 2 forces in play here. One is opening up Twitter to more free speech, because that is quite Elon Musk, says what he wants, shoots from the hip. On the other hand, he is quite the visionary when it comes to technology. And the way that certain apps are used in other parts of the world, especially in Southeast Asia, you get what you call super apps, one app for everything. And Musk has been cited as talking about Twitter as potentially being this future super app. So you might shop, you might date, you might vote. How do you connect? Well, Musk also owns a company that beams down internet from satellites in space. And he's also planning to colonize Mars. Could this be the one app for everything in the universe? Not just in the Western world. So I think that's how he's wanting to make money. That's not really to do with the polarization of user beliefs and what they're allowed to say. I think he's got a plan to totally change how the app works and to enable it to do a lot more than it currently does. And I think that's his plan to make more money from Twitter.
So overall then, Drew, looking at the evidence that is given to us, granted there's not a massive amount at the moment with the acquisition being fairly fresh, do you think this is a good or bad thing that Elon Musk has taken over Twitter and the direction you see the platform going in?
I think Elon Musk taking over Twitter is potentially a terrible thing. There need to be guardrails, and he's ripping them off as he's walking into HQ at the moment. So there needs to be a safe space for people to exist online. And if that isn't brought to users on Twitter by whoever brings it, whether it's Musk or whether it's some kind of regulatory force or lawmaker, then people will just quickly leave. Twitter's not the biggest of social networks as it is. So Musk might be wanting to bring more people in, but I think he might have the opposite effect in what he's doing.